It's all the fucking porn he's downloading.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that'll be a great way to start the show.
I hope nobody saw that.
You want me to introduce Tyler?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Wisco Fanatics. we have Brian joining us shortly here. His laptop is updating,
Maybe.
so we have the three amigos here already. I want to apologize ahead of time if I messed anything up with NFL news. My brain is currently in NBA mode, especially with the trade deadline just happening. And the Bucks winning a ton of games in a row, going for number 10 tonight. So got a lot of stuff on the schedule. There you go. Oh yeah, he's real speedy.
I had to hard rebooted the computer. I just canceled the update, so we'll see how this goes.
All right, here we go.
Welcome back.
So Bryant has joined us. How's everybody doing? Bryant, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Good, man.
Crazy busy week.
Fucking hey, you're telling me, buddy. Simon, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm stressing, man. I'm stressing hard.
Yeah,
a lot going on in my life right now.
I hear you on that. Amen to that. I wish I had a beer. I'd cheer right now.
How are you? How are things? How's your wife?
Yeah, she's good. Holding the fort down, man. Because Jesus Christ, I am just a stress ball lately, man. I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, so it's gonna be a busy 2 weeks for me over here. Tyler knows some stuff that's going on. Got to buy a new car pretty soon here. I just got a new apartment.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
you guys found a place.
Yeah, we found a place, and then my car just decided to just break down 3 times in the last 2 weeks, and I've already put almost $1,000 into it. And they told me that it's going to be another $1,300 to fix it. So
what was it?
It's
Brian,
the
Brian, you can see the comments, right?
Let me see. Yeah.
Can you read them?
The champ is here.
No, I want you to read what David said.
What's that third one?
Oh, I can't see it.
Oh, no, you can't see it.
What's facetitiously?
Had to happen. What's up, Bill? How you doing, buddy? It's Friday, so it's the weekend. Other than that, honestly, I coach my steps basketball now. We're undefeated.
Killing it.
We have one more game left in the regular season tomorrow morning at 11, and then we have the little tournament where we play like 2 or 3 games, either what seed we are. We're the number 1 seed right now, and then if we win those, we're the champs, baby.
Easy.
We're the only team that had. We're the only team that had 2 kids make 2 3-pointers.
Let's go.
Like my team is stacked, dude. Like I have the freaking 16-17 Warriors, dude. Team is loaded. I just stand on the side like, hey, play defense, pass the ball.
What's the age range?
9-10.
Yeah, it's pretty good to hit a 3 from there.
My stepson walks up last weekend. He crosses the kid over his left hand, and kids aren't used to that, right? He crosses to the left, gets a layup. He looks at him and he goes like this. I said,
no.
Yes, dude. Dude, the first game, listen to this. First game, real quick. First game, we won 8-6, right? My stepson gets the steal. He goes down. He gets fouled, makes the layup, bro. They both fall over. He stands up. I said, put your arms down, dog.
The fucking BM, though. Jesus.
Oh.
All right.
Dude, he's a monster.
Where did you get
We're
that?
We're going to get into some Packers stuff here. So this is our first show really getting into 2023 Green Bay Packers stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with the draft this year, like Jake and I have done in the past. And Simon and Bryant are going to be joining us for that. So this is going to be starting March 17th is going to be our first draft coverage day. That is going to be 2020 draft review, now that we've had a couple of years to see what the 2020 draft has looked like. And then we're going to do wide receivers on March 17th. March 24th is going to be the offensive line. March 31st is going to be linebackers and running backs. April 7th is going to be safeties and tight ends. April 14th will be edge and defensive line. And then April 21st, the last Friday before the draft, live mock draft, our live mock draft episode. So we'll be doing that. So for the 5 shows leading up to the mock draft episode, for the first person who comments after a randomly decided time of the show, we're going to give away a 3D Lambeau Field magnet. And for somebody who comments on all 5 shows and the live mock draft show, I have a set of fan locks. Look like these. Friend of the show, fan locks, some green and gold fan locks that we are going to give away during the live mock draft episode. So if you comment on all the shows and you comment during the live mock draft episode, you'll have a chance to win some fan locks from Wisco Fanatics for us to show some appreciation for those who stick around with our show often. So doing a little bit of giveaways to incentivize some people to watch our draft coverage, which we've been pretty positively feedbacked on in previous years. So that'll be that. If Simon or Bryant can't make any of those shows, they will be fired. So stay tuned to see if that happens.
It's already a fucking done deal.
The pay wasn't very good anyway.
Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last.
Absolutely.
All right. So tonight's show is basically we're going to be doing, each of us has 4 steps, 4 ways to fix the Green Bay Packers going into 2023. And then we are also going to talk about trade packages for Aaron Rodgers so that all 4 of us are on the same page, because we will be posting some mock drafts leading up to the mock draft episode. And we kind of all want to be on the same page for what we're kind of expecting in a return package for Aaron Rodgers. Not this BS that I'm seeing of Aaron Rodgers and a 5th-round pick for a team's 1st-round pick, 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick, 4th-round pick, and then they're flipping that 2nd-round pick for 2 2nd-round picks and like all that. We're just going to kind of have like a universal trade package for the teams that we're going to be considering, so that our analysis and our mock drafts are kind of just kind of on the same page, kind of a blueprint of what we think is going to be for potential trades. So we're going to do that. Who wants to go first?
Me.
Brian wants to go first.
Best
All right,
first.
scorched earth.
Yeah.
Here we go.
See, he had that dialed up.
We
He
all
knew
give
I would
ours.
say me.
After we all give ours, we also have an emotional fan base version of the 4 ways to fix the Packers. So we'll go through that one too, but we're gonna do the serious ones first. So Bryant, go ahead, give us your 4 ways to fix the Green Bay Packers for 2023.
Okay, so I'm sure we might all have this on there. Maybe it's just me. My first way, there's 2 people I want traded. Not necessarily want traded. I think we need to trade. That's Aaron Rodgers and Darnell Savage.
already got traded.
No, Darnell Savage, right? So we'll go over our trade. I have 3 teams ideas for trade package. We'll go over that later. But so first thing is trade Aaron Rodgers and trade Darnell Savage. So my next thing is these people we need to restructure. So we need to restructure David. There's a lot of them. David Bakhtiari, Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander, Aaron Jones, because I think he's key to helping Jordan be successful in his first year. And I don't know if y'all heard what Aaron Jones said yesterday about Jordan. Love to hear it. Preston Smith and Devondre Campbell, they all need restructures. I'm cutting pretty much our entire special teams. Pat O'Donnell, I think we can draft someone or find an undrafted free agent that could probably perform the same with a cheaper price tag. And I love Mason Crosby, but when you see him barely, I don't know what power entered him when he hit that 56-yarder, but a lot of the season you've seen him just barely squeaking by from 50. He had a great year, but we really need someone that, quite honestly, needs to kick the ball out of the end zone a lot of the time. And we're not going to carry. I know we were going to do it for the Lions game, but we can't carry 2 active kickers. So I say cut Pat O'Donnell and Mason Crosby. You tender Josh Nyman. And then the 2 main free agents that we have, I think we need to resign is Keyshawn Nixon and Rudy Ford. And we signed Keyshawn Nixon at an average of about $4 million a year, and Rudy Ford at about $3 million a year. And so if we do all those things, our cap space after those moves in 2023 will be 26.8. That's using over the cap. I mean, I know there's some finagling and what they might do with their restructures, but that would give us 26.8 million in 2023. And it would go up to 50 million in 2024, and then you're sitting at 171 million in 2025. So I mean, you can, push quite a bit of stuff out. And then with that extra cap space, I think you extend Gary right away. Mm-hmm. And then my last thing. So the first one was the trades. The next ones were the restructures, and then I had the cut tender resign. And the last thing is I want us to target one of these positions, and I want it to be a topish type player in that position that's young, and that's because I feel like they can help us transition and still be competitive. So I would like them to target one of these positions and pay somebody in one of these positions. For one, it will free up something we have to do in the draft, and two, like I said, we want young talent. So the first is a safety. I don't know if you all looked at the free agent safety market. Holy cow, there's talent out there, and there's young talent. Jesse Bates, 26. Taylor Rapp, 26. Julian Love, 25. Terrell Edmonds, 25. Donovan Wilson from the Cowboys is 28, but he played really well this last year. And the last one, it's more of the name, but Nasir Adderley. He's a cousin of Herb Adderley. I'd love to see that on a Packers jersey again. He had like a 60, just around a 60 PFF, but most of the other ones I said were around 70. So I would love, there you go, exactly. So I would love that. So I would like to target either safety. The next one I would choose would be tight end, because honestly, I don't want us to draft. Like, I like Myers, but I don't agree with drafting tight ends in the first round, quite honestly, because they take too long to develop. Now, this might be a good time to do it, but so tight ends, the two I would target is either Dalton Schultz or Mike Gesicki, because of their speed, their catching ability. I know they're not going to be great blockers, and then my last position, any offensive lineman, because I know they're going to be looking at what they can do. So whatever they think can help the team and put that line in the best. So if they could find some experienced person that is either going to push, Myers out of his position, or really lock in Elton Guard at guard. I know his contract is kind of tailored towards him being a tackle, but so I'm not saying sign all three of those. I'm saying pay up for one person in those three for a top person,
like a major free agent in one of those three positions.
Exactly. So, and then you remove that need, from not necessarily need, but early need in the draft, because I think safety is a huge need for us. Like, we're in trouble. The reason I want to say trade Darnell Savage is because his cap is movable, and you'll see what I did with that later on here. So,
okay. So I'm just gonna address the comments that came during yours. I like him. By the way, I think it's well thought out. So I think you did a good job with that. David asked, "Can we get a 6 for Savage even?" I guarantee you we could get a 6th-round pick for Savage.
Hey, David, go ahead and wait around until I talk about the Aaron Rodgers trades too, because
he's making just under $8 million for a team that needs
6th round for Aaron Rodgers. We could get that.
6th round for Aaron Rodgers.
Tim asked, "What did Aaron Jones say about Jordan Love?" Tim was asking, so if you could kind of just give a quick summary of what he said.
So Aaron Jones went on Undisputed, so it's not a small platform, right? It's Rivals, First Take. Mm-hmm. And he said that, pretty unequivocally, he said that Jordan Love is ready. He said they've seen it in training camp, and it really snowballed throughout the years. That I have a feeling that obviously he's not going to go in there and say, no, Jordan Love's a bum and he's not ready. But honestly, the way he spoke, it almost sounds like he knew that Rodgers. He was giving me the idea that Rodgers is going to be back. He talked about Jordan Love having. He didn't say he's better. He has more arm strength than Aaron Rodgers, but he said his arm strength is seriously there. And Aaron Jones knows that, because the reason he didn't catch that turkey hole pass against the Eagles is because it drilled him right in the chest, and he probably didn't expect it to hit him. So, and he talked about his.
That was an absolute dime, by the way. That was a fucking dime.
That was one of the most exciting throws for me during the whole thing. So.
Yeah. On the subject of Aaron Jones, this isn't the first time that Aaron Jones has said good things about Jordan Love either. Back during training camp, when Rodgers wasn't practicing during the preseason and stuff like that, and Jordan Love was getting a lot of those first-team reps, Aaron Jones said it then that he could tell the difference in Jordan Love's leadership and his vocality from last year to this year, how vocal he was in the huddle and his leadership in the huddle. So it's not like Aaron Jones is just out here saying this on the off chance that Rodgers isn't back with the Packers in 2023.
He made a comment about Jordan Love's growth as leadership, and he said he's really understands the playbook, and he's putting people like he sees, gets him in the best position. He's talking about how he checks out of things and checks them into the right position, and then he talked about he says he thinks that Jordan Love can be that dude, and he said his athleticism is great. I don't know if you guys remember, but I think along with the 2 incompletions from that game were my 2 favorite plays Jordan Love made. The one throw to Aaron Jones up the sideline, and then if you watch the throw he tried to make to Cobb where he stepped up into the pocket, evaded rush, like sidearm blasted it to Randall Cobb. It was a little bit off, but just right there, that shows you like that's the athletic ability that they were talking about that needed development when he was coming from the draft. So and Aaron Jones isn't the only one that said something. Obviously Romeo Doubs said something, but he's younger. But then you had Devondre Campbell saying something through the season. I believe it was
Rasul Douglas too, I think, was saying stuff.
Rasul
And
Douglas,
Stokes was saying stuff that
Keyshawn
he was
Nixon,
hard
if
to go
I'm not
against.
mistaken. Yeah. So like if you know, and you have people on which should be a good defense. I know we underperformed, but saying that, hey, this dude can play, like I'm pretty excited. I'm not saying he's going to come out here and light up the world, but we can talk about more about what our expectations of him would be if it comes to fruition that he's going to start for us. But
So David's next question was not re-signing Adrian Amos.
No, he's good, and I know there's some stuff they could do that they could restructure him to help with the void years, but he is a free agent now. It's just that he's stuck on void years. But I like Amos, but I think it's just time to move on. Now, if you can bring in a Jesse Bates and trade a Darnell Savage and get Amos back on a restructured deal for 2 years, that helps bring the money down. So, sure, I'm open to that. But
it's got to be really inexpensive.
Yeah, we need to. Amos didn't start playing okay until the end of last season, and he was inconsistent. I love Amos, don't get me wrong, but I want like young, flashy speed at that. I mean, even if we signed Jesse Bates and we took a safety in the second, I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, then you're preparing yourself for if Rudy Ford, gets another lucrative deal in free agency after signing, say, a 1 or 2 year deal with the Packers.
Yeah.
Bernard asked if we want Rodgers back. Bernard, the thing with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, and this is where you're not going to catch us in a position that you'll catch pretty much any other Packers show, is that when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, whichever one ends up being the one, we will move forward with the focus on how the Packers can best move forward with that decision. We're not going to come out and say, Aaron Rodgers needs to be traded because he sucks, or Jordan Love is a bust, so he needs to be traded. We're not like stamping super hard on it. We are willing to be comfortable if a move is made, but also optimistic for whichever one the Packers go for in 2023. So we are prepared for both parts of it. We're not saying that one needs to be done, and if the other is done, we're canceling the show and we're never watching another Packers game. That's not how we're going to operate.
Speaking of
Christopher. Can I answer Christopher's question real quick? I don't think I would be very shocked to see them do that, to be honest, because if Jordan Love doesn't pan out, we're picking early in the next season anyway. And we'd probably have, honestly, you'll see once again in my draft, my trade things will have draft capital going forward from the Aaron Rodgers trade if it happens. But no, I would be really surprised if they moved up to take a quarterback because, for one, I don't think this is the strongest quarterback class. And two, if he doesn't pan out, we're going to be drafting early the next year anyway. So I don't think. So
Christopher's question is if Aaron Rodgers is traded, would Green Bay use draft capital to move up to draft one of the top 4 QBs as insurance if Jordan Love doesn't work out?
No.
And I agree. I don't think they need to do that until potentially next year. Because they, when you listen to Brian Gutekunst say that, we know what we have in Jordan Love, and their decision is basically already made on what they're going to do with his option. I think they're comfortable rolling forward in 2023 with Jordan Love, and possibly even 2024 before considering any other options at quarterback, given the fact that they've already put 3 years into his development. So I think they're comfortable moving forward for at least the next year, if not the next 2 years, with Jordan Love before they feel the need to draft a quarterback. All right. Good job, Bryant. Who wants to go next?
Simon, go ahead, buddy.
All right. I also kind of want to hit on that too. They're going to pick up Jordan Love's 5th-year option this year. It's going to happen.
We've all been pretty vocal.
It's going to happen. I've seen people say they're not sure, but I don't think there's a way in hell that Jordan Love's not.
Even if Rodgers is
if Rodgers is back. And that's already agreed upon. They're going to pick up, I think, what is it, May 3rd or May 1st? May 1st, yeah. They have until then to figure that out, but it's already pretty much a done deal. Yeah, so a lot of my stuff kind of followed along the same as Bryant. Fixing the cap is obviously the first thing they have to do before the new league year starts. There's going to be a lot of restructuring. Bakhtiari is obviously a huge candidate. He has over a $29 million cap hit in 2023. Jair Alexander could be one. Kenny Clark could be a restructure candidate. They could do a contract extension for Sean Gary. And restructuring could allow a little bit more cap room. I don't think it's going to happen, but they could cut Aaron Jones and save $10 million. I don't think it's going to happen regardless of what quarterback happens this year or plays this year, because Aaron Jones, I think, is our best offensive piece. Mm-hmm. I think that's even if Rodgers comes back, I would almost say that.
It's still Aaron Jones.
Yeah. So restructuring Clark, Alexander, Preston Smith would theoretically get us back to under the cap. And then the biggest concern would be, I guess I'll talk about that in a little bit. I already talked about that. And then Rodgers, Jesus Christ. Bryant, like he said, with trading Rodgers and restructuring all these stuff, theoretically we could be close to $74 million in cap space next year. Theoretically, if all the restructures go correctly, and obviously fudging the numbers and stuff, you could end up with a monumental amount of cap space next year, possibly.
Yeah, David, I don't think Aaron Jones is going to be cut. I think the possibility exists in the back of the mind, but not any sort of likelihood. I'd say it's basically about 98, 99% positive that he's back.
The fact that he's already out there saying, go ahead, sorry, Simon.
No, I was just going to say, like he said, I think it's in everyone's mind that it's a possibility based on the numbers, but based on his level of play last year and his involvement in the offense and the possibility of going to a younger QB, I think they're going to want that mainstay piece.
I think he's a more restructure candidate than a cut candidate.
Yeah, I agree. It was just something that I thought about and something I was reading that could be a possibility.
I also feel like you'd already have a sense of it if it was coming, and he wouldn't be on this show hyping up Jordan Love and everything like that. So, and the fact that Packers see, and he's such a Packer, like he is exactly the personality that the Packers have always looked for. He is such an amazing human being. He's sitting there calling. Yeah. We all talk about how like none of us really like Skip Bayless. Aaron Jones on there calling him sir. You know what I mean? He's just a super respectful, and that doesn't mean pay him $20 million because he's respectful, but he really is the epitome of a Packers player, in my view.
Right. Also, shout out to him for Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. That's a huge.
He's gonna win that fucker one of these years.
Yeah, I mean, he's just just a stand-up human being, like a good dude.
Yeah, David said, plus if it is love, they'll use the ground game more, and I think that's. And I said this prior to the 2022 season, is that the Packers have been setting themselves up to be a run-first team. With Jones and Dillon, and then spending so much drafting on defense that they're set up to be a run and D team. And then whatever you have at the quarterback position is essentially just bonus. And that's basically what the system that Matt LaFleur brought to Green Bay was meant to do, was to make average quarterbacks look good. And then they applied it to Aaron Rodgers, and then he rattled off 2 MVPs. So that's, using the ground game is definitely in that factor.
We're middle of the league in rush attempts last year.
Yeah.
456.
Yeah, much closer to 50-50 than it was the year before.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Jake, you want to go next or you want me to go?
I wasn't done.
Oh, you're not done? All right, well.
I only did one.
Oh, that was one? Fuck.
Yeah. I said fix the cap, and then I started talking about restructuring players and what cap we could be.
You said something about trading Rodgers too, so I thought that was one of your things. All right.
I mean, it is, but
say the numbers when you put them up. All right, give me your number 2.
I did. I said this is the first thing, and then I went into it. and that was it. And then we kind of just
okay. Children, let's move along.
All right. Number two,
talking, and then I'll do like we did with Bryant, and I'll read all the comments after you're done.
All right.
So.
Just mute yourself, Tyler. Thank you. All right. So.
I'm just gonna let this happen.
Not so funny, meow, is it?
It's kind of funny. All right. Number two, from a pure future standpoint, and this doesn't mean I don't want Rodgers back or I wouldn't be cheering for the Packers, which was funny because someone said if Rodgers came back this year, they weren't going to watch any games. I thought that was funny as fuck. Someone said that earlier.
The opposite happens.
So from a pure numbers standpoint and futuristic standpoint, and where I think management feels about Jordan Love, I think that there's a strong possibility that this could be a trade Aaron Rodgers year. The date of when they should trade Rodgers and when it's actually going to happen kind of sucks because post June 1, they're able to like kind of split the money between the 2 league years or whatever. But obviously the team's going to want the trade now. So it's going to be a pre-June 1st cut, which means that we would take a $40.3 million dead money charge. I mean, that's the downside of it. The upside is you get futuristic picks. And when we get into the Rodgers trade, I feel like I'm going to get hit hard on this one. Because I think it's going to be a lot lower than what people think is going to happen. But I think this is the right year to do it. And it's a good transition into Jordan Love's 4th year. And they get the 2 years on Jordan Love because he's going to take his 5th year option. We could see what the team could look like with him at the helm, whether it's time to move on or, this is just, it's the time to do it. That's my opinion. I think for the future of the team, it's a good option to take. All right. Third. So number 3, Tyler, we have 17 people that are free agents this year. I do think, and one thing Brian didn't mention was the restricted free agent. I think Nyman's coming back, and that'll put the second round tender on him.
Yep. I said tender him.
Then, did you? I missed that. My bad. I also think Chris Barnes is going to be back.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be back.
Yeah.
I don't care one way or another if he's not, but I think he could be back.
Good depth piece.
And then we have some interesting unrestricted free agents. I'm good with Mason Crosby being gone. I think Bryant kind of hit it on the head there. His leg strength just isn't there. You can't reliably see him kicking in the end zone, and he has trouble hitting 50-yard field goals, which is almost normal for a kicker now. I think Tunyon, Lazard are gone. I think Lewis could be back if the Packers are willing to take him on and he wants to come back. I think Lowry's gone. I think Amos is gone. Holland's probably gone. I think the special teams players, I hope we get Nixon back. I'd be excited for that. I think Cobb's gone. I hope we get Rudy Ford back. I think he was interesting. I think Eric Wilson could be an interesting pickup. All those special teams core guys that we got last year that really helped our team improve from last year, I really hope we get back. And one player that I think the Packers should look into in free agency is Zach Allen. He's 3-4 defensive end. He played for Arizona, drafted in the 3rd round in 2019. He came off a pretty good year for them. And I think he could be a pretty cheap deal for us on like a 2-year deal or so. Kind of like picking up Deron Reed last year, but just a little less expensive. I think that'll be an interesting piece for the defensive line if that's something that they'd be interested in too. And fourth thing, if we're going the Love route, we're going to have to take a wide receiver and a tight end early. We're going to have to get him some offensive weapons. I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Our wide receiver room is kind of scary right now. You got Watson and Dubs, and then you got some guys. and it's thin right now. The offensive weapons for Jordan Love going into next year would be, oof. It'd be rough to look at. And I also think that while I think this is kind of out of the realm of possibilities with our cap situation, I would like them to take a look at Jacoby Myers as a free agent option for wide receiver. I don't think he'll be as cheap as we want, but at least, give it a look. Free agent wide receivers this year are kind of they're rough.
I heard there's a likelihood that Keenan Allen will get cut. I would love that.
But I don't think there's a fucking way we afford him.
And he's getting older. He's probably going to a championship contender.
Yeah.
And listen, I love Keenan Allen. I have a signed Keenan Allen jersey. I love Keenan Allen, but I don't trust his health at his age.
That's another thing too.
Tyler said Toure looked good in limited reps last year.
Yeah. Oh, Toure,
and he'll get a chance, especially if Lazard and Cobb are both gone. Yeah. Toure will get a chance. If he plays well in the preseason, he'll have a chance to earn more reps. So for him to look good in limited reps is certainly encouraging to see if the Packers could find a gem in the later rounds at that. Tyler said we will draft a wide receiver in first, second, or third round. I think that's pretty good.
I think that's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah. David said we need at least one good veteran wide receiver, though. I think Jacoby Myers, he's going to be entering that territory. He's not a grizzled veteran or anything, but he's been in the league for a few years.
So I think he's 26 or something.
Yeah. So, it's not it's not like he's going to have a Randall Cobb role where he's the old man teaching the young men, but he's got it's like getting a guy with NFL experience.
Yeah.
To me, signing Jacoby Myers would be preferable to trading a second-round pick for Chase Claypool, for example.
Oof.
I mean, a first-round pick because it's 32 overall.
Juju's also, but I don't really want that. Yeah,
what do you think about Jake Kummerow, Simon? I heard you were thinking about him.
Shut the fuck up. I'm positive.
Oh my god! Did I send you guys that conversation I was having with someone? Did you guys see that, bro? Yes. I was like, dude, just give it up. And he's like, oh, you can just go to the practice squad. I was like, what is that? What does that matter?
Jake Kummerow on the practice squad.
He's had 27 career receptions for that role. So what needle is he gonna be moving? He's like, oh, he just knows Aaron Rodgers, and I was like, bro, oh my god.
It's almost as bad as the bring Jordy Nelson back people, and he's eligible.
I'd rather bring back Jordy Nelson.
Bill's talking about the Jets. Bill, hold that thought. Come back to it after Jake and I do our 4 ways. The Jets are one of the 3 teams we're going to be talking about. We're going to be doing the Raiders and the Jets, all 4 of us, and then each of us are bringing one more team to potentially trade Aaron Rodgers to, so we kind of have a baseline to go off of. And David said, I'm not 100% sure we get any first-round picks.
Yes, we will.
We're getting a first.
Yes, we will.
We'll get to Rodgers draft compensation. So now that Simon's finally done talking,
I got 5.
It's like Simon says. Simon says an extra.
No, I don't really have 5. You can go next.
Jake, you want to go next or last?
I want to go next.
Okay.
So I'm going to start this out by saying that I 100% agree with Simon on one thing that he said. I agree with a lot Simon said, but the one thing that I do agree is it's time to trade Aaron Rodgers. I had this conversation earlier with Tyler. It hurts. It's going to hurt. No matter when it happens, it's going to hurt. It's going to suck losing Aaron Rodgers. We all have grown to love and appreciate everything that he's done for this franchise, but it is time. And I'm not blaming him for any losses. I mean, does he deserve some blame? Yes, but it's not all 100% on him for every playoff loss or any playoff loss in general, right? Or any loss in general, even the Lions game. Yes, he missed some throws, but the defense did shit too, I mean, it's a team game. I always say football's the ultimate team game. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start this off, and apparently we all have the same idea of restructuring a bunch of contracts, because that's definitely the
I don't
first
have that
thing
in mind for future reference.
Well, that's good, because me, Simon, and Bryant were all like, yeah, we need some money. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to restructure Jones, Bakhtiari, Campbell. We're going to restructure Smith. We're going to create some cap space, right? So that's the first thing I did. I create some cap space, get some money rolling through. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trade Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders. I will get details later of what I'm trading him for, but let's just make him happy. He's playing one more year anyways, right? He's going to come out of that 4 days in the dark. He's going to see the Hat Man, and the Hat Man's going to tell him to go play for the Raiders, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Shut up.
That's what I feel like. So after that, we're going to have extra draft capital. We're going to trade for a wide receiver, and I've seen a lot of stupid ass. Good God, I feel like I'm so dumb looking at
Stop
some
bringing
of
up fucking DeAndre Hopkins.
It's not DeAndre Hopkins, but
I know, but I'm telling Packers fans to stop bringing up DeAndre Hopkins.
Don't do that. He's not coming here. I don't want him anyways. He's 117 years old. So, anyways,
and he's making $117 million per year.
Yeah, true that. So last year there was a big trade, and now this team is in the Super Bowl. It was A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was traded for the 18th, and they win 101st overall pick. So I feel like we're going to trade the 15th and the 141st pick for T. Higgins. He only cost $3.9 million this year. It's not a lot on the cap. Yes, he's a free agent after this year. We'll deal with that later. We have cap room next year. We're going to push some more out. We're going to create even more cap room next year. So let's go trade for a T. Higgins, a big body wide receiver. That's actually one of the things that I see in these mock drafts, and I'm kind of like, that could work numbers-wise. I'm not going to lie. Only $3.9 million for a big guy that can catch touchdowns, and there's your vet who's been in the league for 3-4 years. So here we go. After that, oh, by the way, the reason that I'm trading, because people are going to be like, oh, we're not trading for T. Higgins. The reason that I think this, they're losing both safeties. Their tight end is a free agent, and they have to sign Joe Burrow and both safeties. They have a lot of people to sign, okay? And their offensive line is still dog shit. Yes, the Bengals are still good. The reason is because of that guy, Joe Burrow, right? So they got to sign him. I believe giving them an extra first-round pick allows them to draft a safety and an offensive lineman and restack that team who is literally minutes away from the Super Bowl. So after that, you can go after one of two guys. I don't care which one you go after, but you're going to fix a problem in free agency, and you have a little bit of cap room to make it happen. You can go after a guy like a Jordan Poyer. Now, I respect Bryant's ability and his mind saying that we should go young at safety. I respect that, and I would love that too. But a guy like Jordan Poyer, who's 32 years old, he might take a little bit of a deal on a team that, in the NFC, let's be honest. Even with Jordan Love in the NFC, you might have a chance to win some games, right? Because there's not very many good quarterbacks. Now, I understand that the Eagles are beast, and, the 49ers are still the 49ers. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be for a long time. We don't know if Lance is the guy. We don't know when Purdy's going to be back. So there's a lot of ifs in the NFC. And in a conference with Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott as top 5 quarterbacks in your conference,
Geno Smith,
I feel pretty goddamn good with Jordan Love. I'm not going to lie to you. So you go get a guy like a Jordan Poyer, or you go get a Hayden Hurst. That's my opinion. Hayden Hurst would be cheap, man. He was only like, what, 1.5, 2 million or something like that around there.
He was cheap.
So you can get him for a cheap price. He's a guy that's going to catch some passes. He's going to have long hair, a beard. He's going to score touchdowns. It's going to be fucking fantastic. They're going to play bang the drum. Easy as that. You see how fast that was? I go through my stuff. I talk about it. We're good to go. Packers are back in the playoffs. Let's go.
But you didn't remember it.
I like your mindset about an older safety too. And I was looking at that too. And I was basically, my goal was to not sign someone, but Jimmy Ward is a free agent too. There's some really good, there's both both spectrums. So.
Dude, the safety class this year and the tight end class, I was like, dude, we are in heaven. This is 2 of our top 3 needs. We are in heaven right now. If we can create a little bit of cap space, get maybe 1 or 2 of these guys that come on over. And, we were talking about Aaron Jones' comments before. When I heard him say, and he, you talked about the arm strength, and he said, I don't know if you could do better than Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the best to ever do it. But, you watch Jordan Love sling some of those passes, man, and I 100% agree. I think that pass to Randall Cobb that had some fucking zip on it, dude. That was a nice throw. Now, he should have checked it down and threw it to Allen Lazard. He would have walked in for a touchdown, but that's neither here nor there. He'll learn. But, yeah, I just think it's time. I'm emotionally setting myself up to trade Aaron Rodgers right now. Like, in February, I'm emotionally setting myself up.
I like that, like you and I think we can all agree, and like you and Simon both said, it's time to trade Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that we necessarily mean that's just for the Packers either. I think it's time for Aaron Rodgers too, because if I'm being honest, I don't think we're in the position to necessarily win the Super Bowl. And as much as I'm a Packer fan, I do love Aaron Rodgers and what he's done for our team and everything he's went through from his early career and the way he was treated. I would love to see him win another Super Bowl. I'm in the minority in that, but I would love to watch him go win a Super Bowl. If it can't be with us, I would love to see him win it. So
it'd be tough to watch him win with Tay. I won't lie. That would be tough.
But I'm gonna when I talk about the Raiders, I'm gonna talk. I want to bring up something when we talk about trading to the Raiders, and that's why I think that makes a lot of sense. But yeah.
So I thought it was funny you brought up Jordan Poyer. He went on McAfee's show today for a little bit, and someone's like, well, because now this is the first time he's a free agent, and he's like, well, what do you think about going to the Packers? He's like,
Oh, did you say that? I didn't see that.
So they're probably one of the workers. One of the guys on the McAfee show is a big Packer fan.
Yeah, it was
Ty, whatever.
Something.
Yeah,
it's like one of the dudes that sits on the end on the couch and just has dumb commentary. He's like, what do you think about going to the Packers? He's like,
He doesn't want to play in the cold anymore, man. He's been in Buffalo, dog.
This is also the first year he's been a Pro Bowler. He's been in the league for 10 years.
Yeah, I know. I was looking that up.
Strong Pro Bowl class with him.
I mean, who isn't a Pro Bowl this year? Fucking half the league.
Jesus Christ. Freaking, yeah. Tyler,
I mean, he did have a good year, though.
Huntley was a Pro Bowler with 2 touchdowns. I was almost a Pro Bowler. I was only 2 touchdowns away from him.
Christ.
Hey, isn't that funny if Tyler Huntley was a Pro Bowler, but Justin Fields wasn't?
He was in the AFC, he would have been.
Oh, yeah. If he was in the Do you guys make anything like? Am I dumb or like?
Well, yes, but
why? Okay.
Probably shouldn't have paused after saying that.
Why did Justin Fields get an MVP vote? In all seriousness,
wait,
probably Hub Arkush.
He got a 1/5 place MVP vote.
No, that guy lost his voting rights. He lost his voting rights.
Are you being serious or are you just fucking around?
No, he lost his voting rights after what he said about Aaron Rodgers. So,
from last year. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no. I know what you're talking about.
The Chicago writer, yeah.
Are we talking about the same thing, or I'm confused?
He was saying that's probably who voted for him.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's just
I got you. Okay, gotcha.
Facetious.
It was a homer bet.
Yeah, just that blew. I was like, that's the dumb. There's 12 other quarterbacks that deserve an MVP vote.
What's more shocking, that he received that, or that Micah Parsons receive a single vote for
that's surprising.
Our defensive player of
the year.
And freaking Hassan Riddick got 2.
Yeah. I mean, he'd had a beast season though.
I understand, but dude, he's not on Parsons.
Micah Parsons.
Let's just be real, dude.
So
Parsons is the pass rush for the Cowboys.
I didn't see him during the Packers game, so I don't know.
Well, that's because that guy who everybody wants to cut was
oh my god,
his ass.
That's another play, dude. I've seen so many people saying cut Bakhtiari because all right, let me put it this way: the Packers saved like $3 million if they cut.
It's not worth it.
Bakhtiari, that is not worth it. I would there's zero reason on the last 6 games of the year he allowed 8 pressures all year
in 11 games.
Why pretty damn good.
Do you want to cut that, especially coming off it where he didn't have any major injuries? His appendectomy is what it is. It happened.
Yeah, a freak injury.
Yeah, freak injury, whatever. Like no one saw it coming. Something that didn't happen. If only he stopped drinking beer, you know.
Yeah.
You ever get a good appendix stretch?
Yeah. He's got to stretch his core a little more. His appendix would have fine.
He was a fucking rock on the left side of that line.
He probably would have been a Pro Bowler.
That's what I'm saying. If he would have played, and I think
second team All Pro or first team All Pro.
Well, maybe not, but he would have had a shot at comeback player of the year too.
That's true. I agree with that as well.
Already had it kind of in stone, but
yeah.
Okay, DeAndre Moore said Fields unanimous MVP next year.
I bet my house on that.
Yeah, okay, bro.
Unanimous. That's
I don't agree with that, but
it's gonna be really funny if Love starts first and has a better year than Fields. They're gonna be
anything could happen, I guess.
Chicago would be burning their jerseys.
Oh, I think it's gonna happen.
I agree with you.
Starts. But anyways, go ahead, Tyler.
Tim said yes, T. Higgins before the Bears pull him. I don't think the Bears are going to be in on T. Higgins. They traded for Chase Claypool. They spent draft capital to get him. I think they're kind of stuck with him now. Mm-hmm. Or they just admit that they wasted a second-round pick. So I think they're going to stick with Claypool.
The best part is it's not even a second rounder. It's a first rounder because it's 32. Well, it's a 30.
He's not getting the fifth-year
first round average. Yeah, but it's just hilarious to me.
I mean, I could see the Bears still going after him. I don't think it matters what they gave for
quarterback.
What they gave for Claypool. I'm trying not to be that way. If they want to put more weapons out there for Fields, I could see them making a push for it.
David said if it's Jordan Love, you need Bakhtiari. I don't really see a single scenario where David Bakhtiari is not in the Packers next season.
No,
unless he like straight up demands to be traded and is like, I'm not like, and throws a hissy fit, which is not his personality, really. I think it's funny him and Aaron going back and forth a little bit, like, and Aaron Bakhtiari calling it like disrespectful that Aaron said that the Eagles have like one of the best lines, and stuff like that. But
people
it's just
really took that to heart too. They were like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is such an asshole!" Like, those two are like best friends, right?
Yeah, like, yeah, it's just funny.
So wild to me. People take so much crap out of.
All right, so I am the only one who does not have any restructures in my 4 ways to fix it.
Yeah, we don't need to restructure players. Don't worry.
Yeah, I also kind of figure it's just pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're going to restructure people.
You use it as a cheat. Okay, so
yeah, I made the assumption that that's going to happen.
He really did have 5.
No, I just admitted one because I think it's going to happen anyways. That's pretty much standard operating procedures. It's outside of the realm of things they need to do, because that's pretty much just a standard operating procedure every offseason. So I'm going to be the fourth one to say it. And again, if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be upset that it doesn't happen. But we are acknowledging the possibility, and that's what we're doing. And I have a reason for why I would first trade Aaron Rodgers to the Oakland Raiders. Sorry, Las Vegas Raiders.
Force of habit.
Right. And we'll get into what we think the packages are for, but the package that I would trade Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders for includes Darren Waller. So the reason I would take Darren Waller back in a deal is because it does solve one of the needs for the Packers, even if only temporarily. So even if we only have Darren Waller for the 2023 season, it does push the need to have a tight end until 2024. So that's something that solves one position, if not just temporarily. And Jake mentioned that him and I talked about this earlier today. And the reason that I'm okay with trading Aaron Rodgers is because if we don't, and then Jordan Love demands to be traded, that's not a deal that I want to make. To me, I would not trade Jordan Love's career for 1 or 2 more years of Aaron Rodgers. That's where I'm at. So that's where I'm at with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. So that's just where I'm at with that. My second one, this is one that nobody has brought up, is a coaching change, and I'm surprised nobody put fire Joe Barry because that's going to be in the emotional fan base one.
Because I thought it was going to be a foregone conclusion that he's staying this year.
Yeah,
it is. I agree with you. My coaching change does not revolve around the defense. It actually is on the offense. And the Texans might get in the way of this and ruin it, but mine is to bring in Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator, as the offensive play caller. And it does also involve keeping Adam Stenavich, but having him back as the offensive line coach. I think that's where he does his best work. And then we get not only, a grizzled offensive coordinator, but a guy who's had some good offenses. And to Jake's point, when him and I talked about this earlier, both pairing him with a young head coach and by pairing him with a young quarterback. So you kind of set it up to have, potentially a long-term situation if it works out.
Youth movement.
Yes. So Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator is my second one. Mm-hmm. My third one is based on retention. So you guys talked about re-signing people. Nixon and Ford are on my short list. Justin Hollins is also on my list. I do think edge depth is going to be necessary for the Packers, as we've seen over the past few years, even with how good the Packers are on the edge and how good of players they have, that depth is needed. The Packers have suffered injuries at the edge position over the last 3 years. This year it was Rashawn Gary. The previous years it was Zadarius Smith. Kingsley Enagbari does help with depth, but when you have a player injured and you're forced to put that guy like that into your starting rotation, you need a guy to be able to back up both outside linebacker positions, and especially in a 3-4 defense, that depth is even more important at those linebacker positions. So that solves the returning position. It helps with safety by keeping Rudy Ford, and then by bringing back Justin Hollins, that helps with edge depth. And then my fourth one after that is basically just drafting the best available players within reason. I'm not saying the Packers need to take a first-round running back and then a second-round quarterback and then another running back and 2 more running backs and then nothing but wide receivers for the rest of the draft. But by drafting best available, if there's an offensive lineman that was supposed to go top 10 and he falls to 15, take that offensive lineman. Even if Mayer from Notre Dame, the tight end, is available. They take the best available player is essentially, based on these other moves, what I think the Packers should do. Whether it's wide receiver. If it's wide receiver in the first round, that's the best available pick. Go for it. It doesn't have to be something where you're handcuffed into drafting starting positions. And that's not where I want the Packers to be. I don't want them to be in we need a starting quarterback this year because Aaron Rodgers got traded and then the following year Jordan Love signed somewhere else after 2024. And then the Packers have to draft a starting quarterback. I would like to be able to continue the draft and develop thing while also being competitive in the short term. Obviously, that's the ideal scenario, is to be competitive now and building for the future at the same time. So that's where I'm at with that. David said he wouldn't for Darren Waller. I'd rather have someone to help now. Maybe he's not talking about Darren Waller. Oh, I think he's responding to Tyler's comment about something else.
Oh, okay. I thought I was going to say Darren Waller would be a help now piece.
So anybody thoughts on Cliff Kingsbury? I was the only one that brought that up, and I'd been kind of holding on to that one since he got fired from Arizona. But
I would love it, but with like I said in our private chat, right? Like, I don't know if Matt LaFleur is too keen on hiring his potential replacement if things don't go well. I would love Cliff Kingsbury, especially if Love starts, but that means Matt LaFleur would have to give up play calling, right? Because was Senovich calling plays?
No, LaFleur was, and he had already discussed being okay with potentially giving up play calling.
Yeah, so then if he's going to give up play calling, I do think it needs to be someone that has experience calling plays like Cliff Kingsbury. So I agree with you there. I would like to put Alex Senovich back in his previous position where he thrived, and just give him a promotion, give him a pay raise or whatever, to keep him on staff. And then so I think I would love it. Maybe if they make that phone call, Cliff Kingsbury like, do I want to be with the Texans or do I want to be with the Packers? You know what I mean? So,
well, he's got that long distance phone call because he's over in Thailand or whatever.
Yeah, I think he just got back.
Oh, changed man.
Yeah. David said, I think I kind of see Kingsbury going back to college. I don't know. I mean, are there really any college head coaching jobs that are open that are potentially lucrative at this point? I can't think of any. I mean, most of the college jobs are filled already because of all the recruiting and the transfer portal and stuff.
No big ones that I can think of.
I mean, even Cincinnati already filled theirs. I mean, David said if he takes the year off, which I think that's what Jim Leonard is going to do. So that's possible.
Do I hate Rodgers, Bernard? No, I do not hate Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers.
Look at how stark difference this is. Like the episode we had right after the season ended, we were talking about, hey, what do you think the chance of Aaron Rodgers coming back? Like, I think me and Jake or someone were like the lowest at 60-40. Now, if I ask you that same question, what do you think the chances are that Aaron Rodgers comes back?
50.
That you're that high still?
I think there's I still think there's a distinct possibility that he's back. I don't think that the front office takes Matt LaFleur's comments about him coming back and kind of lightly. And I don't think he was BSing either. I think there's still a distinct possibility that he comes back.
Well, I mean, we had Mike Spofford on a couple times during the season, and we asked him, and I could still see the outcome that all four of us and Mike Spofford predicted was that Aaron Rodgers comes back for 2023, is either retired or traded following the season, and Jordan Love, playing on his fifth-year extension, is the starting quarterback for 2024. I still think that's an extremely
I think so
possible scenario.
The reason why I think we all framed the trade the way we did, though, is because there's still a distinct possibility of getting something for him and moving on towards the future. Right. And at least that's what I did for mine.
Yeah. And that's why, like, for me too, like, you know, we get a chance to see Jordan Love a year sooner, so we potentially get 2 years of Jordan Love to see if he's, you know, the guy for the future and if he's worth giving him another contract. But like I said, I feel pretty sturdy in this decision that I wouldn't trade 2 years of Aaron Rodgers for the career of Jordan Love.
I do, yeah, agreed. And I mean, even if we keep Rodgers, there's still an out next year where he'll only count again. I think $20 million against the cap, or 23. I forget. I have to look again.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'm still also 50-50. I'm with you, Simon. I think Rodgers is back goot into such a corner. It's going to be hard for him to get out, dude. He has to face his bully. I mean, because Rodgers really bullied him into that goddamn contract. Let's just call it what it is, right? Nobody in the freaking world thought that he was going to go win back-to-back MVPs. And he's like, oh, you guys drafted my replacement. Now I'm balling, you know, like pay me my money. You guys disrespected me on national television. I carried your ass. You know, I made you look good. I won a bunch of games. I made this an attractive spot still for free agents. Like, so he bullied them into that contract.
So that's the thing I feel like people forget. That's why we didn't dump Rodgers for Love. People like hate on Love, and they're like, well, he's the front office doesn't like him. Otherwise, we would have just moved on from Rodgers. Dude had back-to-back MVP seasons. He was going to get offered a contract.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you just let that dude walk.
Now, again, because of the back-to-backs, real quick, because of the back-to-back MVPs, and because there's so many teams that are like, oh, we're a quarterback away. That's still a thing in the NFL. We're a quarterback away. Or even the teams that are like, we haven't had a quarterback in 30 years. Like, we're going to talk about a few real quick, right? We haven't had a quarterback in 30 years. They're going to overpay for that guy because that's going to bring money. That's going to bring ticket sales. Don't let none of this shit like fool you. They still want to sell money. They still want to make money. So,
owners get desperate.
Oh, they do.
They get desperate. If they see a big name like Rodgers go to the free agency market or is even considered for a trade, they might pay the big bucks for a guy like that just to bring in those sales, like you said.
My third team is a desperate-ass team. I really think that they could.
I'm excited to hear your third one. I think I got a pretty good one, too.
I'm at, for me, I'm at 25-75. I think there's a 75% chance you get traded. And the reason why, and we'll go into this thing right now, right? Right, we're about to move into the trades. The thing for me is that if we trade him this year, post June 1, we get the capital this year or going forward, which is one of mine. But it's only a $40 million hit. We're already due to 33 for him this year, right? No matter what, $40 million. And that's why I said I paired trade Darnell Savage with, because what's the cap hit for Darnell Savage? $7 million. So seven something million. So if you can trade them both, it's a wash, whether you kept him or not for the cap, and then you're clear of them going forward. I love Aaron Rodgers. Whoever he goes to, I don't care what team it is, unless it's anyone in the NFC North, I'm going to root for them, right? Just for him to get one more. But that's why I just
there's a couple
really
of
think
I wouldn't root for.
Yeah, well, like the Patriots, I couldn't, or Dallas, but
I couldn't root for San Francisco. I couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't fucking do it.
The way it's getting talked about and stuff, and reading the tea leaves or whatever. I know it's dangerous to do that because we were doing it kind of last year, but that was mostly because Scheffler decided to put some bull crap out there. But I just really get the sense that, I mean, he just put himself in a black hole for 4 days. He wants to go to the black hole, and the Raiders. So
Oh, fucking
I'm just kidding, but like
You were waiting to make that
I
joke.
hate
You
that.
did.
I just thought
Like,
it was
wait till I kick off the real Room of Darkness.
it was my anniversary. I entered a black hole last night, but
Oh my god. We're fucking canceled, boys. It's over.
Oh my
It's
god.
I didn't want to do all the. I had to get out of here somehow. I didn't want to do 7 straight shows for the draft, so I figured out.
I
It's
was,
only 6. But now you're fired.
I'm kidding. It was a joke.
On national television, Bryant, really?
I hope my next employer doesn't find my podcast.
Oh god.
Anyways, it was a joke. Okay, we have to have fun, right? I love my wife very much. She's a lovely lady.
All right.
Anyways,
Well,
let's move into the
Matt,
trades now. You can cut that out, right? We're
Was
not live.
that-
This is pre-recorded.
That was a good segue. Brian,
Holy cow.
speaking of which, you missed the very starting immediately when he went.
yeah,
live.
that too.
Oh.
We'll see. We'll see on
So
the
it's not my
replay if
fault.
that part's
It's
in
not
there or
my
not.
fault.
I mean, I started off on a bad foot.
Yeah, I was talking about why your computer needed updates and why it was moving slow. Bill said, believe it or not, I think Aaron is going to get traded this year, mainly because we can still get something for him. Bernard on YouTube said, I think it's time too. I want to see what Love can do. And there's nothing wrong with any of those statements. You know, just because you want to see what Love can do doesn't mean that you hate Aaron Rodgers. Just because our ways to fix the Packers involve trading Aaron Rodgers doesn't mean we don't like him. Doesn't mean that we think he sucks. Like, none of that is how that works. Same with like people drawing the conclusion that because the Packers held on to Aaron Rodgers that they believe Jordan Love sucks. That's not how that works.
I think that's another thing I'm tired of is seeing the Rodgers slander. I'm so sick of it, honestly.
If it's a separation, it's like mutually. It's not going to be like Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
there's not
Yeah.
going to be this weird Cold War
Forced
until
trade, yeah.
Favre finally comes back. The year after Aaron Rodgers retires from the I almost said the Army, retires from the NFL, I bet he'll be back in Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he loves
All right.
it. Yeah.
So we're going to start with the Raiders, and then we're going to do the Jets because those are the two most likely teams that Aaron Rodgers gets traded to based on betting odds, fit, just general consensus. And then each of us are going to bring up one third team to potentially trade him to. So let's start with the Raiders. Bryant, you started for the 4 ways to fix the Packers. So I'll go to you first. What do you think the Packers could get from the Raiders for Aaron Rodgers?
So this is my package that I would like to see. So the 7th overall pick, that's a huge pick, right?
Mhm.
And a 3rd rounder, right? And then I put a conditional 2nd rounder in 2025 that turns into a 1st rounder if Aaron Rodgers plays in 2024. So, and then I also put that they take Savage to help clear up the space. The reason I said that is the trade cut alone for this is why I think the Raiders could be very like intriguing to Aaron Rodgers. Just the trade / cut of Derek Carr alone gives the Raiders $48 million in cap space. And if they restructure like their top few people, they can have close to like 80 million. And they already for 2024 rate as of right now, even with Derek Carr in it, 2024 they have $119 million in cap space. So, and Aaron Rodgers will only count 15 million against their cap this year. They could do a lot of things. I could see him going there, and if they do trade us someone like Darren Waller back, they could easily reach out, which I don't think we should do. I like the idea. I do like Darren Waller. We just have to clear a lot of space for it. But they could be a team that I could see go out and try to trade for someone like DeAndre Hopkins. Could you imagine DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams? I know he's old, but lining up from like each side of the field. Good luck with Aaron Rodgers.
He still had a couple beast games this year.
Yeah. So, and that was with Kyler Murray and who's hurt, and then other Trace McSorley or whoever else was starting for them. So that's why.
McCoy.
Yeah, it was something like that. So yeah, I put the 7th overall pick in a 3rd rounder, and then a conditional 2nd that in 2025 that turns into a 1st if Aaron Rodgers plays in 2024. But they also have to take Savage from us to clear out that cap space.
Okay. Alexander asked what our thoughts are on Jordan Love. We talked about it pretty at length, all 4 of us, in our ways to fix the Packers. All put trading Aaron Rodgers in there because we think Jordan Love is ready. We've seen the consistent improvement, and we like what we saw in him in the limited time this season. So we're all ready for Jordan We all think he's capable, and we're ready to see what he does if Aaron Rodgers is moved. Doesn't mean that we think that Aaron Rodgers needs to be moved to clear way for Jordan Love, or that we'd be unhappy if Rodgers was back in a Packers uniform in 2023. So, Simon,
real quick. We're in a great situation. Either we're getting Aaron Rodgers back, which is really fucking good, or we're going to see Jordan Love. We have no idea what's going to happen, but we like things he can build on a guy who's been working for 3 years. We're in a great spot. Stop your bitching. I like that.
Yeah, that's totally fair. All right, Simon, what is your projected trade package from the Las Vegas Raiders if the Packers were to trade Aaron Rodgers there?
All right, first I want to I want to preface this. I think that everyone is overvaluing Rodgers' trade. I really do. I think
I am.
That's fine. And you know what? I might be wrong on this. I think that if we didn't get a first and we got something like 2 seconds, I wouldn't be that surprised. If we didn't end up with a first round pick and we got something like 2 seconds or like a second and like a conditional or something of that sort, I wouldn't be that surprised. You're trading for an aging quarterback with a dumpster fire of a contract, and you know that he's going to constantly contemplate retirement in the future. So you're maybe looking at 1, maybe 2 years max. Are you, as a franchise, especially with the Raiders and how they're run, and I know we were just talking about like desperation and stuff, and it's possible that a team is that desperate, and I'm wrong. Why would you give up a first or I've seen people go like 3 first round picks. I think that's fucking wild.
No.
I think 2 first rounds is wild.
So let me answer your question.
All right, so to answer, you want to go? Go ahead.
I want to answer your question.
Okay, go for
it. How long do Super Bowl windows stay open in the NFL?
I mean, who knows, right?
5 years, 7 years, when you have a young, good quarterback.
Yeah.
You trade for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, where you're a quarterback away. You essentially give yourself 2 years to win a Super Bowl.
True.
If you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you're hosting the Super Bowl next year. You know how much money that's going to bring to that city?
So that's the hope, right? But it also doesn't help that Rodgers coming off a down year. If he had
he's Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I get that. And I understand how people view Aaron Rodgers and stuff, but looking at it from the standpoint of where he's at in his career, what he did last season and his future, it just doesn't make sense to trade more than a first round pick for him. And that's my view on it. And I could be wrong, and I hope we are. If we end up trading, I hope someone says 4 first rounders. I know that's wildly not going to happen, but if a team offered that, I would take that like that. I'd be like, yup, bye.
So
I think that Matthew Stafford. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think the Matthew Stafford like trade and stuff helps us though, because you see like, oh, they traded for him, and I know he's younger, but they traded and he won Super Bowl. Like, so a team like the Raiders or Jets might be like, hey, we just need him for that. Also, like, I'm kind of basing it off of what we got for. We all kind of agreed that Devontae Adams is still great. I think Aaron Rodgers can still be great, but it's older, long in tooth, and we got a first and second for him. So that's kind of where I'm basing it off of.
Okay, but first of all, like you said, Matt Stafford is younger. Second, Devontae Adams was coming off an All-Pro season. It only made sense that he was going for a first.
Who's his quarterback? Who's his quarterback?
Got it. But Rodgers also didn't.
There's no buts.
No
buts.
No, there is
I
a
just
but.
Killed your entire argument.
No, that's not true at all.
Yes,
based off of what happened this year and Rodgers' age and retirement contemplation, it doesn't make sense to give up.
Simon, that's not how GMs think. That's absolute. Listen to me. That is not how GMs think.
No.
Listen,
that's what I said though, right?
They're
I said there's desperation involved and that it could happen.
They're gonna say the last time Aaron Rodgers was with Devontae Adams, he got 2 MVPs. That's exactly what they're thinking.
You know, fine.
Because
and like I said, I hope that happens. But if it doesn't happen, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I get what Simon's saying.
I know
So,
one
because
I think part of this that's not being brought into this discussion either is that Aaron Rodgers dealt with 2 injuries this season as well.
That's
so that
very
could,
true,
you
too.
know, that's a potential reason for, you know, I'm not saying we need to explain away Rodgers having a bad season, but when you bring in the fact that he lost Davante Adams and then dealt with a thumb and rib injury, like I'm sure that's enough to justify where he was from 2021 to 2022.
Another
think that also
factor-
could hurt it too. Be like, okay, aging quarterback that, you know, had a little bit of injury history this last year. I mean, does that bode well
That's a
either?
really small sample size based on all of the stuff that he's been through.
So another factor too is that if Aaron
It
Rodgers
doesn't
is
get any
like,
better.
say Packers really do want to move on from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers knows this, right? If they have that conversation, and Aaron Rodgers is like, "Well, trade me, but the only team I'm willing to go to is the Raiders." The Raiders are going to know that because Aaron is going to talk to Devontae, right? And that could drive
Devontae
down.
did the same thing.
Yeah, and that could drive the price away, right? Or the Packers would be like, "No, screw you. Like, if you don't give us the first, whatever, we'll eat the cap." Just out of principle. I don't know that they would do that, if they would want to develop that situation.
But I mean,
It's
they
going to be really
forcing
interesting.
Rodgers into retirement if they did that.
I see what Simon's saying though too. Like, this could go a wide range of picks. I do think the floor is 1 first. Like, I think that's the floor. But
So I'm in the middle, and I think I agree with the premise of Simon's argument that people are overrating what Rodgers is worth, but I think Simon is a little underrating what he's worth.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not saying that every team in the NFL is going to be ready to give us 2 first-round picks, but I do agree in the scenario with the Raiders that a first-round pick and then a later round pick, like it doesn't need to be Raiders first and second-round picks this season, but like for me, when I brought up trading Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders, it included Darren Waller. So for me, the package that I would potentially look for from the Raiders is a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and Darren Waller.
Okay, so I was gonna do something similar because I actually
Okay.
never answered the question.
Yeah, just talk
Sorry,
for 20 minutes.
my fault.
I kind of
My
went
fault.
no, because I was gonna do that anyway.
No, that's fair. So yeah, go ahead. Give me your ideal package.
So I was gonna say, if I had to guess, I would say a first, and then I was also gonna say a fourth, and I was considering Hunter Renfrow as well. I think he would be an interesting wide receiver option. He's a really good route runner. He can play in the slot, and with Randall Cobb departing, I think it makes sense.
that's a good point. That would hit a huge need for us right there in the slot.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, the other deal that didn't get brought up when you guys discussed Matthew Stafford, I think is Russell Wilson to a point, because Russell Wilson's in his mid-30s while Rodgers is going to be close to 40. Is that like Russell Wilson commanded 4 picks and 2 players, and we're basically asking for 3 picks,
3 players picks, and 4
3
picks,
players.
dude.
Yeah. So we're basically asking for 2 picks and 1 player. So I don't think we're outside the realm of what's realistic by saying a first, a fourth, and Waller, a first, a fourth, and Renfrow, and a first, a third, and a conditional second for Rodgers and Savage. So, Jake, what is your ideal package from the Raiders?
So, the Raiders, they play in Vegas. What's in Vegas? A lot of gambling, right? They brought in Davante Adams. I think they're going all in if they can get Aaron Rodgers. I have a first, a fourth, a fifth this year. Then I have a second and third next year. I think they're going to go all in. They're going to give us a ton of picks. And the other thing that I didn't bring up, and I wasn't trying to like kill your argument or anything like that. I
appreciate the banter back and forth.
The other thing that people didn't bring up is that in the AFC now, it's kind of an arms race over there. Everybody has a goddamn quarterback. Yeah, everybody has a quarterback over there, man. And the Raiders are the only team without one since they just gave theirs away. So getting a guy like Aaron Rodgers automatically just puts them up in that tier where they're like, okay, we're ready to compete, you know. So
yeah, their alternative is Jarrett Stidham.
Also, I wasn't going to bring up Russell Wilson until the Jets trade, because that I looked up that trade and I was like, damn, what'd they get for him? And I was like, oh shit, Jets would definitely pay something like that similar. So,
well, why don't we go in the reverse order then? Let's go for Jets, and Jake, you can start with the Jets.
So, when I was thinking about this, I'm laughing now because I'm hearing how Simon's thinking about this, and I'm going to sound like a fool compared to Simon.
So, let me premise. I mostly I'm saying this for Packer fans that I see putting stuff all over the internet that are like, oh, we're gonna get 3 first round. Like, there's just no way.
Right.
I'm sorry, not even with your line of thinking and desperation involved and short windows. No way.
We're also
Just
not
no
trading him to the
way.
Texans.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not gonna happen either.
I've seen people
so.
trading him to the Texans for like 5 picks and Jalen Petrie, and it's like that's
I've
not
seen that
happening.
too.
I seen one yesterday where he went to the Colts and we got the 4th overall, and then like 8 more picks with it. I'm like, what are you?
And Michael Pittman
And Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, that's what I commented. I was like, these get more and more stupid every time. And the guy,
I saw that.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's just.
And then they flipped the 4th round pick to the Cowboys for CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, stupid.
So all right, Jake, give me your Jets trade package.
So here's what I have. So Goot's gonna get on the phone. He's gonna say, "Oh, we got a really good offer from the Raiders right now, man. I mean, if you guys want them, you guys got to give us something good, like right now, right? We're gonna get their first. We're gonna get their second. We're gonna get their first, second. We're gonna flip fourths next year. We're also gonna get Mike White to be backup quarterback to Jordan Love because backup quarterback is an important position that people don't respect. Get a guy that has game experience, and then we're gonna get Denzel Mims, another big body guy. He can be a red zone threat. So we're getting a first, a second this year. We're getting a first, a second, and we're flipping fourths with them next year, and Mike White and Denzel Mims.
Good God.
And the New York Jets are going to get a quarterback, and they're going to be talked about in the national media, and they're going to love it.
So a first, a second, a 4th round swap, Mike White and Denzel Mims.
No, he said 2 firsts, 2 seconds.
I got a first and second this year, a first and second next year, and we're swapping next year, and Mike White and Denzel Mims.
I would trade any player on our team for that.
I would automatically. I wouldn't even let that deal would be done.
There's like
the Jets aren't even the desperate team I have.
If you took
that
out the
is
first and second
desperation
next
at
year,
its
I could
finest.
totally
that
see.
reeks of desperation.
Sheesh.
The only way I ever see them doing that is if they have like 100% assurance that Rodgers like, I'm going to play for you 3 more years.
Dude,
like I'm going to play out my contract.
The Jets traded us a first-round pick for Brett Favre, and they only had him for a year.
True. Well, 2. Didn't he get injured a second year? Or was he only there 1 year?
He was only.
No,
there
I think he was only there 1 year because then he played 2 years with the Vikings, right? Or 3
Oh,
years.
that's true.
2 or 3.
I think he got hurt at the end of this the campaign.
Yeah, they were playing really well with Favre,
they killed the 10-0 Titans at home. They killed them like 31-7 or something, and then I think Brett Favre got hurt and they lost.
Hurt his elbow.
He'd fire the entire front office if he was the Jets owner.
I would absolutely I would fire everyone if they did that trade. That is
this makes my trade package seem really tame.
I went crazy. I had to.
For me,
if we get half that package and Elijah Mitchell or more instead of Mims, I would be ecstatic.
I'm still glad we didn't draft Denzel Mims. Personally, I don't think his potential is
He's not great, but he's another body.
Yeah. So for me, from the Jets, I'm looking at if the Packers trade Aaron Rodgers, they want as much 2023 draft capital as humanly possible. So for me, if we're trading from the Packers to the Jets, if it's Aaron Rodgers, we get the Jets' first, second, and 4th round picks this season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Simon, what are you thinking from the Jets?
So I got Rodgers and a 4th this year, our 4th this year, and then I have a first this year and second next year and a 3rd next year.
Say that again.
So we give up Rodgers and a 4th this year. This year's 4th, and then we get their first this year. And then their 2nd and 3rd next year.
Okay, that's not bad. I can see that. That's kind of close to mine if you think about it.
Yeah,
I can see that. That's not bad. All right, Brian, what do you think from the Jets?
I like Bryant's trade.
Don't want to type in the private chat. So I have the 13th overall pick, and mine's very similar to what we do with the Jets, right? I mean Raiders, excuse me. The 13th overall, but instead of the 3rd rounder, I put 2nd rounder because there's obviously a stark difference. If you look at the draft pick it compensation. That's about it. The difference is that second and third.
Yep.
So you got the 13th overall and a second rounder, and then a 2025 conditional second rounder that turns into a first if Aaron plays in 2024. So once again, this is another team that's interesting because they do have some cap work to do, but they have over 100 million open in 2024, so they can easily move some around. But they have some veteran. I was looking at over the cap on theirs. They have some veterans on some ugly contracts that they need to work out. So it'll be interesting to see if they figure this out. But that's what I have for the Jets.
Okay, that's not bad. I like the idea of a conditional 2024 or 2025 if he plays in 2024. I think that's an interesting wrinkle to add to it. All right, Bryant, give me your wild card team.
You ready, Jake?
I'm ready.
You already know. Who do you think I'm going to say?
Do it. Don't. If it's the NFC, you're nuts.
Okay, San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, my God.
The thing about the San Francisco 49ers is they have absolutely no draft capital in 2023. And this is where we're like, oh, we're not going to give that much for we might not, or this is why I'm like, you might not get that much for Aaron Rodgers. They gave the second, third, fourth, and fifth or whatever it was for Christian McCaffrey. And he's a running back, great, all-pro running back, but he had all that injury history and stuff. So this is where I'm going. Let's fix our team with players. So they have to give a safety, Talona Hufanga.
Oh,
Hufanga. I would love that.
Yeah, I would love that.
And wide receiver Brandon Ayuk.
Okay.
I would also like that.
A 2024 second round pick and a 2025 conditional second round that turns into first if Aaron plays in 2024. And they have to and then we give him Savage as well to help with the loss of safety. Dude, Hufanga is a monster.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's awesome.
So we would immediately. How do you feel about that now, Jake? If we would get Hufanga and Brandon Ayuk in return, immediately address our slot receiver and a safety with probably a Pro Bowl, a future All-Pro safety. At least that's where you know what I mean. Like he had like two sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions, a bunch of.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
He
was a beast.
He's in the backfield pretty.
I'll tell you how I feel. I'm going to be very emotional in that playoff game. That's how I'm going to feel.
That's touche.
So and then
all right.
The thing with the San Francisco, and I did this other one. This is why I think San Francisco is kind of interesting too. If they were to trade for Aaron Rodgers, if they restructure just the 4 top contracts they have 51 million in cap space, and that's where they could easily go get someone like DeAndre Hopkins if the Arizona Cardinals will trade him to him. Probably not, but a wide receiver, T. Higgins, right? They don't have the draft capitals where they're running into trouble, so they have to really pay it out in advance. Or if Keenan Allen gets released, they could go sign him like that and pair him with someone like Deebo Samuel. But if they restructure the top 4 contracts, they have 51 million in cap space, and the following year they're over 100 million already. So they can pay that contract if Aaron stays. So that's why I picked them. So.
All right. Simon, you're up, buddy.
All right. So I don't think there's a fucking snowball chance in hell this is happening, but I thought it was kind of intriguing. I think God, what are they now? The fucking Commanders or whatever?
Oh,
I think.
No.
Did you? Is that what you had?
Yes. It's all
dude,
wait
go
till you hear
for
my
it.
trade. Wait till you hear my trade. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, yeah, like I said, I don't think there's a snowball chance in hell. I don't see Aaron Rodgers agreeing to go there in the first place.
Yep.
I just think there's
it'd
no
be really
way.
fun to watch with Scary Terry and Dotson though.
Yeah.
But so I got a first this year, so they're number 16 overall pick, and then I got next year's second overall or second round pick. Jesus.
Okay, say that again.
First this year, second next year. So 16 overall this year, and then a second next year.
That's all you
So
took.
I think they would have to give us more for us to trade them to them because I think
That's all you took from them, bro.
I'm telling you, I don't think.
I think in that deal we also get Taylor Heineke.
So he's a free agent.
He is. He's a free agent.
Well,
So
they
that is one person that if we move on, I would love to have Taylor Heineke in.
And I think he said he would like playing. I think.
Oh yeah, he said he'd love to play play ball in Green Bay. I just like him as a quarterback.
And he also commented. He also said being a backup quarterback in the NFL is one of the best jobs in the world. So That's the type, you know what I mean? Like he wouldn't come in and be like, oh, I should start over Jordan because even though he might be more capable at first, but that's
all right, Jake. Let's hear it. 3 first-round picks. Scary Terry.
No.
De'Aaron Payne or whatever his name is. Darren Payne.
No. Yeah. I did take a D tackle though. I said we're gonna get Jonathan Allen.
Okay.
He's expensive, so basically you're saving a little bit of money, but you're also making your defensive line freaking monster.
Real quick, before you move on, I do think there is a slight possibility they trade Chase Young because they said they aren't sold on extending his option, his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
So I think
he got hurt this year again, didn't he?
Slim, but possible crack in that door.
Don't we play the Commanders this next year though, because they finish in the same spot as the division with us?
Yes.
That's the only thing I'm like, Aaron, like, is Green Bay going to do that? I think they should. I think that'd be so much fun. But
wait, no, we don't.
They finished third in their division, didn't they? No, they finished fourth. Never mind.
They finished fourth.
I forgot the
Did
Giants.
we play the NFC East this year?
No, you're right.
We don't play whoever finishes in the same spot in the NFC.
We play the Giants. You're right.
Yeah. We'll play the Giants.
Yep.
So, anyways, we're going to get Jonathan Allen.
Okay.
We're getting their first-round pick, number 16 overall. And then next year, we're going to get their second and their third-round pick.
Okay, it's not crazy. It's crazy.
Dude,
that is nuts.
Jonathan Allen and the 16th pick, dude. Are you?
I think that would.
We would have back-to-back first-round picks.
I think
we just gained all pro
be
D tackle.
I think a first-round pick in Jonathan Allen would be paid more.
Fucking A, dude. Jonathan Allen with Kenny Clark, dude, and then Rashawn Gary coming off the edge. You're screwed.
Oh man,
that'd be fun to watch.
That's. You know what, Jake? I like your optimism. I really do.
That's what we do on this show, buddy.
Well, and see, so here's the thing. Like, we're gonna I'm writing all your guys' things down because what we're gonna basically do is take an average of all of them and consensus them out, so we kind of have a feel of what we think Aaron Rodgers would get, so that when we do mock drafts, we all kind of have a similar base to go off, so that you're getting consistent content from all 4 of us doing mock drafts individually as well as collectively. So we're all kind of in an agreement here on what we kind of think the packages are going to be. So that's why we're doing this all together. And that's, like I said, I'm writing these all down so we can kind of make a consensus. So one of my team, the team that I have, the last one, is one that kind of got mentioned, but just really quickly in passing, and it is the Indianapolis Colts. Part of it that I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers traded to the Colts. Obviously, it's in the AFC. I do think if there's a team that I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers win a Super Bowl with, it would be the Colts, because then Jonathan Taylor gets one too. So I do like that. So there's that little bit of incentive there. So for me, the trade package from the Colts that I would ask for is their first round this year, their first round next year, and a 4th-round pick. I think as far as teams go, there are not many teams that would give us 2 first-round picks, but I do think the Indianapolis Colts are one of them. They literally traded 2 years ago a first and a third for Carson fucking Wentz. You're going to tell me going from a 3rd-round pick to a 1st-round pick and tacking on a 4th isn't worth the difference between Carson Wentz and Aaron Rodgers? I think it is.
Jesus, 70 first-round picks doesn't make up
Colts
for Rodgers.
Just don't give a shit. They're like, we'll take every aging quarterback you have.
The quarterbacks go to die.
If you're not over the age of 35, we don't want you.
Like you see where I'm coming from. Like the precedent is there for the Colts to be interested in a veteran quarterback.
I think they're on the verge of bringing Luck back at this point.
They're the reverse Leonardo DiCaprio. You have to be over 40 for them. You have to be over 40. And then they're like, that's my guy right there.
So the Colts is mine, 2 firsts and a 4th.
I can see that. I also agree with your point about him winning a Super Bowl there. If he won a Super Bowl with the fucking Niners, dude, I think I'd pull my hair out. And there's not much left. My hairline is on the top of my head, basically. But Jesus Christ, would that suck?
But how
you
sick
can
would
borrow
it be?
some from your neck beard and just plant it up there.
Just think about it, Jake.
What?
Packers squeak into the playoffs. Have to play the San Francisco 49ers.
And we beat them 10-7.
Tufunga picks off Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love hits Brandon Ayuk for a game-winning touchdown. Like your life would be complete, bro.
Dude,
Could
I
you
think
imagine?
I'm not trying to rip on Rodgers, but Jesus Christ, he'd have to take a 5-day retreat after that one.
He'd probably just retire after the game. Like, I'm going to
Yeah,
Fox
he'd be
with Brady.
He'd be like, I'm
Right.
done, bro. But
All right. So, last thing to close out the show, the emotional fan base, 4 ways to fix the Packers. Number 1 would be firing Joe Barry. Number 2 would be bringing back MVS and Amari Rodgers. Number 3 would be trading Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love for number 1 through 10 picks. And then every time you trade for a top 10 pick, you trade it for the one after it and get a second and a 4th round pick. So you add that on. And number 4 would be trading for Justin Jefferson because the Vikings are obviously going to do that deal.
Yeah, right.
So that's how we're closing out the show.
I heard we're gonna give up a 4th rounder for CD Lamb. That's a pretty good deal.
David laughed at Amari Rodgers. David, you saw it on Facebook that after he scored 1 touchdown from the Texans, it was all back to
In
Aaron
garbage
Rodgers can't
time.
work out with young
Aaron
wide receivers."
Rodgers fan, or all Aaron Rodgers.
I just want
Oh,
to tell
yeah.
everybody that I got into a Twitter war with people after that because I saw so many people like, Amari Rodgers, of course he does good when he leaves us. I was like, are you fucking
He had
stupid?
2
With the-
catches for 58 yards and
with
1
the 2-win
touchdown.
Houston
It's
Texans.
funny because everyone was fucking killing him too for all his fumbles and stuff. It's now they're just like, oh yeah, he plays good now, so we want him back. Like you were just talking so much shit about
And
him.
I called that, by the way. I told you the Texans were going to
Yeah.
pick him up because I knew Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins were injured. And shockingly, Amari Rodgers has been filling in for 2 injured wide receivers where there's nobody else to throw to. That's where he succeeds.
What do you think the chances are Aaron's like hitting up? I mean, Devontae's there, but think about it. James Jones went there. Jordy Nelson went to the Raiders. Like, do you think he's
Javon
like,
Walker, didn't he go to the Raiders after Denver?
Yep.
yeah? So he's probably like, hey, what's it like going to like? For some reason, that's just where our players go.
Well, I mean, all those guys were in Oakland, though, so it's probably a little bit
Yeah.
different.
I mean, they go to the Raiders. And
Right,
they go to the
Vegas is a much better town. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this was fun. I think it was, a little bit of a lighter thing than, just going over missing expectations and trying to find positive takeaways in the middle of it. So I think this was a little bit of a lighter, a little more fun, and I think it sets some precedent for the future things that we're going to be doing. So, like I said, starting March 17th, we're going to be reviewing the 2020 draft and talking wide receivers. And then following that, every week we're going to have a different set of position groups. With the final Friday before the NFL draft, we will be doing live mock drafts. And then we are going to stream during Thursday night of the draft and Friday night of the draft as well, so that you can watch us cover all the positions, potentially win some 3D Lambo magnets and a set of fan locks in the process. And then when those guys are getting drafted, we'll be able to talk along as the players get drafted, as we've been talking about them in our draft coverage. So that'll be starting in March. So thank you guys for hopping on with us. Thanks everybody for watching and commenting along. This was a fun show to do, and we'll see you guys soon then.
Go Bucks.
All right, take care, guys.
Jake just leaving the show.